All right, welcome into another episode of the 2022 MLB Draft Show. We're staying in the Pac-12. I tell you, people leave me to my own devices, and I just start bringing in guys from the West Coast over and over and over. And I got another guy in this class, Kody Huff, catcher, Stanford. I'm a big believer in the hit tool, man. Cody, I think you're a massive sleeper in this class in terms of college catchers. The pride of Scottsdale, Arizona. How we doing, man?
Doing good. How are you? Appreciate the kind words.
Absolutely, absolutely. We always start the same way. I'm opening this up. Just tell me who you are. Tell me who you are on the field, off the field. What's Kody Huff all about?
Yeah, cool. So I'm Kody Huff.
I'm a Hufflepuff.
You need to say something first? Just say what your thing is. Whatever your house is about.
I'm a Hufflepuff.
Let's see, things I like to do off the field. I feel like I'm a big outdoorsman. I love to hunt, fish. Got into golfing over the pandemic a little bit.
Nice.
Let's see, my major is management science and engineering. So I guess I filled the narrative of Nerd Nation pretty well.
I got that S on my chest. Yes, nerds. N-E-R-D-S. Nerd Nation.
Let's see, I'd say on and off the field. I feel like I'm a guy who likes to lead by example, and I may not have the most rah-rah personality out there, but I feel like I'm a leader wherever I go, and people can follow my lead in that way. I feel like that's a good start.
What's your best tool? Because I think it's one of the more underrated bats in this class. I think metrically and some of the underlying data suggests that you probably were a little bit more unlucky in 2021 than maybe your slash line would suggest. But I mean, you're an athlete behind the plate too. So kind of where do you put your, I guess, emphasis? Like if you were to staple down your profile, what tool comes first for Kody Huff?
I don't know. It'd probably be a toss up between hit and arm, I would say. Like you mentioned, I think one of the best things I bring to the table is just being an athlete behind the plate. Since I only started catching full time a couple years ago, I felt like I brought kind of a different profile behind the plate. In high school, I had a couple, I guess, player comps were like Will Smith, Austin Barnes, kind of like smaller profile catchers like that who have a little bit of utility background. And then the hit, like you said, I definitely felt like that in the spring and the summer. I felt like I was always getting unlucky, sometimes
Yeah.
more than. But trust the process, and I think I've always been a hitter wherever I've gone, and I think that'll help me in the future too.
How comfortable are you, or I should say, how locked in are you to staying behind the plate long term? Because you've played third base, you've played the infield, you're athletic enough to handle it. Are you kind of a Swiss Army knife, or how much pride do you take in being a backstop?
Yeah, so I think originally, I really did like being utility. I really like playing the other infield positions. I played a little bit shortstop, third base, like you said. Um, but I think long term, I see myself as a catcher because I really embrace, um, you know, not just maybe calling the game or things like that. I think I really have started to take pride in and understand what it takes to be, kind of a rock on defense is what I would call it. Getting to know your pitching staff personally, each guy, kind of what makes them click. I think that goes into calling a good game. Earning the pitching staff's trust. I think that's huge. And, I saw it again, even more so in the playoffs this year. Guys like Martin Maldonado, who maybe were struggling at the plate or things like that. You know, he's highly commended by his pitching staff and his manager, and all the people around him say he's an integral part of the team just because of what he brings to the table on defense. And I feel like that's something that I could always do, no matter how the offense is going.
In 2019, before you enrolled, you were selected in the 32nd round by the Tampa Bay Rays. Tell me what that experience was like. Was there any, thinking about signing, or were you always going to be a Cardinal?
To start off, it was a surreal experience just to hear your own name called on draft day. I always followed it every year. I had a unique experience being around baseball my whole life, and just getting to see your own name called is just an experience I couldn't describe. It was very emotional. Um, I wouldn't say I was never against the idea of signing, but I wouldn't say my prospect status was nearly at the level um, to not come to Stanford. So
Hmm.
it was never like I had withdrawn my name or was against it, but I think we just knew ahead of time that hopefully the next good chance is going to be my junior year in
Yeah.
college.
I want to go back and hit on, you've been in a baseball family your whole life. Your dad was a scout for 20 years. You've been around the game since, you were this tall. What's that like for you going into the 2019 draft, or prepping for the 2022 draft, or even training in high school and college? Like, what sort of advantages does it give you being around a guy that is looking for pro tools?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest advantages was, my dad was always extremely honest with me, even if sometimes I thought it was to a fault. It was always better in the end to hear the truth. And I got to see, I even got to spend some time in the minor leagues, in high school and things like that, just around minor league clubs and see prospects that, I guess at that time weren't too far off in age, and just kind of see even that couple of years what the difference is between, a pro baseball player and even a college player, high school player. And I think I kind of figured out, okay, if this is something that I really want to do, and this is what I want to dedicate my craft to, then, there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made. And that's in the weight room, physically, mentally. I mean, you see how much of a grind it is in the minor leagues and things like that. And you realize, it might not be for everybody, but it also helped me decide that, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I started to embrace some of those things, and, hopefully can get my own pro career started. And I'm really looking forward to all those things.
Yeah, for sure. I will jump into that, but looking back at your time hanging around the minor leaguers, let's say Double A, for example, what's the biggest difference between where you are as a college junior and where those guys are at in Double A? Is there one pillar that kind of sticks out?
Um, I'm trying to think back. I would say just physicality. I think it's this could just be because I remember when I was like 14, 15, so I'm sure the guys looked a lot bigger than
Yeah,
in my memory. But I would just say physicality and just speed of the game. I mean, you know, it's being able to make seeing 95 every day just look, a lot easier than, in high school or even in college, I guess, too. You're not necessarily seeing that every arm or every series you play. And then once you get into those higher levels and every arm is, especially once you get to double A and above, I mean, every guy, I'm sure
yeah,
probably heard this, but like every guy double A and above probably has big league talent. And so now you're seeing the best of the best. And I think it's just the ability to handle that day in and day out. And then I would also say just to stay calm and relaxed. I think I saw a lot of people that were strong mentally, the ones that were successful at least, and some that weren't too. So kind of seeing how big of a difference the mental side of it can make. And I think I've made, a lot of improvements on my own, and I'm still constantly making improvements. I'm obviously far from perfect. I'm just learning how to deal with failure, going through struggles of my own, and just knowing that baseball is a really hard game, and professionally there's going to be lots of ups and downs, a lot, and just embracing those.
yeah. I mean, got to take it one at bat at a time, because you let the days stack on each other. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't play. Um, I played through high school. That's all. You got to take it one day at a time. So you mentioned talent, and I want to talk about Stanford, because you guys have a pretty good team coming in this year, and it's a really young team too, with I think a lot of promise. I mean, you saw what Arizona did last year with just a youth movement. Drew Bowser, Tommy Troy, Braden Montgomery, yourself. You guys are going to have a pretty imposing lineup this year. Kind of want to know what your goals are for Stanford baseball in 2022 and where you guys think you can go.
Yeah, I mean, after an Omaha trip last year when, we were picked to finish ninth in the Pac-12 for the year, I think we surprised a lot of people, but the only people we didn't surprise were ourselves. I think we believed in ourselves the whole year, just in the practice that we did going into the season and the way we were playing early. I think we really saw potential, and we've maintained that same intensity through the fall, held a high standard of work through inter squads, things like that. I mean, our inter squads that we play against each other seem like they're more intense than some of the games we even played like last year. It's crazy how intense it gets, guys tripping at each other and things like that. I mean, I think the next step is to, win a national championship. We're going to have a lot of key returners, the guys you mentioned. We're going to have some young guys that are going to be able to contribute. Obviously, having Brock back, Alex Williams, Quinn Matthews, Drew Dowd, guys like that I think are, key players. And then hopefully some younger sophomore guys that we can have step up in the bullpen and things like that. I think it's going to be what's going to help us a lot this year is having depth. We're going to have crazy depth at every position. There's a lot of really hard competitions going right now for a couple spots. And so whoever comes out on top is going to be a great option, and whoever's next is also going to be a great option. So I'm really excited for this year. I think this team has a chip on its shoulder still riding from last year. And yeah, I'm super excited.
All right, man. So you played a couple years down in the Pac-12, and I know that 2020 is kind of an interesting sample. But in your time playing in college baseball, is there a pitcher that stands out as just one of the most difficult at bats you've ever had?
I do remember. Oh man, hold on. What was his name? My freshman year, I started opening night, and we were playing Fullerton.
Mm.
And I just remember nighttime, Friday night, nerves were high as a freshman, and I got hit by a pitch on like the second pitch. And the pitch before, fastball, I swore looked 100, and I think that was off of Tanner Bybee.
Oh yeah, okay.
So that was I think that was just circumstance, which probably made that one stand out. I actually answered this question the other day. I'd have to go with probably, I think his name was Evan Justice from NC State in Omaha, big lefty.
Yeah, that's a really weird operation, dude.
Yeah, I ended up, I don't even know how I hit the pitch. He threw a slider that for sure would have hit my back foot, and I flew out to left. But that was a pretty uncomfortable at bat, I'd say. Coming at you low 90s with a legitimate plus secondary pitch and just big levers like that I'd say that was probably one of the ones that stands out in my head.
Yeah, he's kind of got that Garrett Crochet, like he's coming at you stiff and then the ball just explodes at you. Definitely a weird at bat. What about hitters? You've been behind that plate, so you've kind of seen a lot of good Pac-12 hitters or hitters from all over the country. Is there a guy that you were calling pitches and you're like, I don't know what I can throw this guy?
I'm trying to think back to this year, someone who just dominated us. I know one of the best. I didn't play against him, but I did see Andrew Vaughn play, and that was the best college hitter I saw in person. I'd say from this year, or maybe 2020 was tough. I don't. That was just like you said, short sample size, so it's hard. But I would say honestly, Susak was probably one of the toughest outs we had to face this year. It seemed like he was always he's a free swinger and hit fastball and breaking ball that we threw to him. I think what separated him was his ability to hit breaking stuff early in the count, and not just put it in play, but actually, do damage with it. He had a really good series against us during the year, and then I'm pretty sure he got 3 or 4 hits when we played them in Omaha too. So that's definitely one that I remember from this year.
Yeah, a bit of a platoon nightmare too. It doesn't really matter who you bring out; he's gonna hit from either side. All right, man. So I'm gonna jump into a couple of these more wild card questions because I think these like to keep guys on their feet. And I'm a Pac-12 guy. I went to Wazoo, so I got to start with this. What's it like playing for a school that has a color as a mascot?
It's funny how many people, in other places say, "Oh, Stanford, like the Cardinals." People. I get Cardinals a lot. The trees is another one, and then a lot of questions. Well, why are you guys called the Cardinal? Like, why is your mascot a color? Yeah, I don't know. It's not honestly. It's not terrible. I mean, I'd say the trees is kind of like the mascot that everyone
Yeah.
uses, and kind of just the jargon, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I definitely get lots of Stanford Cardinals. Even
Yep.
actually, funny story
Incorrect.
when we got to Omaha and we like were in our suits, we had just gotten there from the airport, and we went to the field. You know, every team gets a tour of the facility, and they had it up on the scoreboard as Stanford Cardinals.
You think they were
like,
trolling
oh,
you?
no.
I
don't
bet
know.
they were
might
trolling
have,
you.
they might have been, because we were
Yeah.
like, oh no, if that's how we're starting off, that's a bad sign.
I bet
Could've been.
Oregon State was using the chainsaw sound as much as they possibly could when you guys travel up there. All right.
Yeah.
So Nerd Nation, Stanford, you guys have a lot of really bright minds. I mean, a lot of people don't know. Not only do you have to qualify to get into Stanford. It's not just you're an athlete, you get to go to Stanford. You still have to be a Stanford student. Is there a guy on the Stanford baseball team that stands out as like the king of Nerd Nation, like just the smartest dude?
Ooh, Owen Cobb, and is probably up there. We're in the same major. He's also a junior, and then upperclassmen, I would say Zach Gretsch was another one. He was ridiculously smart. Quinn Matthews, another really smart guy. I'd say Owen and Quinn are probably the two Nerd Nation kind of, they represent it the best. Just like personality, really smart academically. You know, I think they fit in really well.
You know where this is going, right?
What am I? Do I fit in that
Nope.
category?
Nope. It's a chance for you to rag on a teammate, man. Who is the who's the peasant of Nerd Nation? Let's put it that way.
Oh man. Oh shoot, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
I know you got 4 roommates. Now's your chance.
Yeah. Well, we one of them did just one of them was ineligible for a couple weeks because he didn't declare his major in time. So I guess that falls in the
Who is
in the
it?
bad
That's
category.
a good reason.
That was Max, another junior pitcher. But
Max, my man, you had one job.
I know. He's fine now though. No worries.
All right, man. Last question. This is kind of what we always end on. And you're from Stanford, so I expect you to bring the heat. What's the dumbest fact that you know about anything on Earth? Super random. That not a lot of people know.
Oh no. Put me on the spot. I would have to say the randomest fact I know is that actually days are slowly getting longer. It grows by about 1.7 milliseconds every century. So a couple billion years ago, days. Yeah, so a couple billion years ago, days were 6 hours long, and now they're about 24, but they're slowly getting longer.
So how long do I have to wait? How long do I have to live until a day is 25 hours? Because my work schedule could really use that.
Oh man, I can't do that off the top of my head.
It's gonna be a while.
A long time.
Cody Huff, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the show. I expect big things from you, dude. I think you're gonna have a big breakout 2022 and vault yourself up to the top of some different boards. And I mean, Stanford's gonna have a big year. You guys have a ton of talent returning. You're awfully young. Big old upward trajectory for the Cardinal, the color. Cody, thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.